really great men short.
Are they really?
David, you've hit the nail on the head. Rem acu tetigisti, as they would say in Latin.
I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
It means nice one, son.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. In fact, Napoleon,
Napoleon was short, wasn't he?
No, he was above average height.
Everyone was short in those days.
Wasn't he?
Well,
he was 5'6", which was taller than
He
it
was
is
5'7",
now.
actually.
Yeah.
Average height was about 5'6"-ish.
So it's just the British who decided he was short, put him down a bit.
Yes, it was particularly a cartoonist called Gilray. When we were at war with Napoleon, there was a famous one of George III with a little Napoleon based on Gulliver's Travels, like that. And he's actually saying, I cannot but conclude you to be one of the most pernicious little odious reptiles that nature ever suffered to crawl upon the surface of the earth. There.
It's a snappy.
It's a snappy one. He was 3 inches taller than Nelson, for example. Nelson was 3 inches shorter than Napoleon. It's certainly true that...
Nelson was 5'4"?
Yeah.
Like Danny DeVito.
He was very, short chap.
No wonder they put him on such a big
So
column.
is that kind of...
Yes, he's tall in Trafalgar Square.
Is that short man syndrome a kind of retrospective thing, then, that we've kind of invented more recently and then just gone back and said they're all short?
Yeah. Some of them were short, though. There's no question. I mean, Stalin was surprisingly short. He was only 5'5". Mussolini was 5'6". Franco was 5'4".
5'4"?
Yeah.
They are all short, Steve.
Well, no. He hit the 5'8". Idi Amin was 6'4".
Yeah, big
That's
fella.
my height. Fidel Castro, 6'1". Mao was 5'9", which is rather tall for a Chinese person. So...
But mostly they're not judged on their height, are they?
No, they're not. They're not. But all I'm...
We'll let that go.
Yeah. All I'm saying, there seems to be historically no evidence that short people are more power-hungry, more tyrannical than people of average or tall stature.
Because you know how it came about, though, because it's just that one... It's probably the one thing that short people have got to cling on to. One day they might be a dictator. Well, and we've just taken that away from them.
All this
little hope.
All this not being able to reach things from shells, one day will be made up for when I kill millions of people. And I can stand on their bodies.
Yeah.
Reach the jam.
Yeah, everybody knows somebody who's short in their life who's been particularly angry and abused his position of authority. And then you decide he's a bit like Hitler.
That's the point. You notice when a short man has a tantrum and says, oh, short man, Napoleon complex.
Tall man has a tantrum, you just leg it.
Exactly. I have to say, I'm rather shocked by this. Heightism does exist. Short people are paid less on average than tall people. The disparity is comparable in magnitude to race and gender. A survey of Fortune 500 companies...
They should rise up.
Yeah. Hey. The chief executive officers of Fortune 500 companies, 90% are above average height, which is astounding, really. And 30% of those are over 6'2". The tallest 4%.
Every now and again, a little short fella breaks through.
Yeah. Oh, stop.
Escapes, gets away.
Yeah. But it is rather shocking that there is this disparity. And, of course, we always notice the powerful, short, rich man with a young, tall wife is...
Billionaire Bernie
She's actually... I've seen her with him. She's actually much taller than that. Above him.
Yeah, she's bending her knee there.
Yeah. I mean, he has to jump up to slap her on the bum. He can run through her legs.
And who's the couple on the left?
That's Carla Bruni and...
Sarkozy.
But at least the women have both got handbags that their husbands can fit in, which is...
No, there isn't really any evidence that dictators are shorter than the rest of us. Now, which popular game traditionally ends with all the players being thrown into a lake of fiery sulphur?
Well, I hope it's show jumping. I hate show jumping. Oh, God. I'd have one of those after every jump.
Before and after every
jump.
It's not show jumping, though. It would certainly liven it up. I
It
grant
sounds biblical.
I don't
to
think
me.
it's the
Well-
humans, though, is it? It's pieces. Wouldn't it be pieces?
Well, I'll tell you that it's a game that went dramatically out of fashion in 1972. Early 72, it was more popular than Monopoly. But by the end of 72, it had almost completely gone out of fashion because of a film.
Mousetrap. Mousetrap.
No, there is no film of
because of a
Mousetrap.
film. Is it Drafts? Remember that film? Drafts.
The film show...
The truth about drafts.
No.
Drafts makes you go bald. Don't play drafts.
The film is not a game, there's a game in it.
There's a game in
This
the
game is played in it, and it's scary.
Oh, is it a séance?
Yeah,
Ouija
it is a
boards.
seance using a Ouija board.
Okay.
And what film has there a Ouija board?
With
The Exorcist
yeah.
is the right answer. One of
Yeah.
the truly great films of the 20th century.
Is a Ouija board really a game? I don't remember ever seeing Ouija board scenes in a film and at the end going, right, who won? Not dead.
Well, the odd thing about Ouija, it was a board, it still belongs to Parker Brothers.
It's out.
Ouija is a proprietary name, it's a trademark.
Is it Ouija?
Interesting point. That is some people's theory of the name of it is, yes, two words for yes, we, the French, and ya, the German, but no one's quite sure about where the name came from, except that it's a game that was invented. The board was invented and it was sold and people played it. I mean, it's weird to say that, but they enjoyed the fact that it nearly always works in as much as, you know, people spell out words and they don't quite know how they're doing it. It's clearly not dead people.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was not originally supposed to be dead people. It was supposed to be that you contacted yourselves, a part of yourselves that automatically wrote. It was not about seances.
Dead people just joined in.
Yeah.
This is good. This is the one for us.
Even when recently asked, only a third of the people who still use Ouija boards say they do it to contact dead people. And in the First World War, it was used to contact your troops abroad, supposedly.
So, hold on. Are some dead people trying to communicate with the living through Monopoly?
Yeah. There was a court case in the 90s, I'm sorry to say, in Britain, a murder case, quite an important one, and the jury had to be dismissed because in their hotel overnight, they used a Ouija board to try and contact the murdered person. And apparently the murdered person said, the guy in the dock is guilty, convict him. And said, the judge heard about it and dismissed the jury, quite rightly, you may say. But the awful thing was, if they'd done it in the jury room, the judge couldn't have dismissed them. Because the judge has no right in law to know what goes on in a jury room. The deliberations must be private.
Unless he's dead.
Yeah, that's really complicated.
Was the guy guilty?
Unfortunately, he was retried and found guilty, which sort of is really irritating. So maybe the ghost of the murdered person did.
Where's the competitive element?
Suppose you just have a go.
Yeah,
Who are you trying to contact? Right, it's your turn.
yeah, exactly.
Or you
Or
contact two dead people and then they box.
And then they tell you how it went.
Ghost boxing. Ghost boxing. On Sky Sports 2. Live ghost boxing from Auntie Vera's parlour.
That's it, people in sheets.
Yeah. The headless man, he's already down.
It's just going like that. It's trying to punch you.
Do you know there's an Elvis...
Yeah. There we go. Go on. Hit me. Hit me.
There's an Elvis seance website.
Of course there is. I bet there's more than one of those.
Where you contact Elvis.
Online?
But it cautions, if you wish to repeat this experiment, please be considerate. Many people may wish to contact Elvis, and we're sure he's quite busy. Please treat this information...
For eternity.
Yes, please treat this information the same as you would if he were alive and you had his email address, with respect. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? A sort of posthumous Twitter and things like that. That would be hell, I have to say.
You just thought of that.
Yeah.
Urine it up to your neck.
Oh, God. Horrifying. But the reference in the Bible to the fiery lake or whatever is from Revelations, where it does say those who practice the magic arts will be cast into burning sulphur. So,
How about balloon animals?
the punishment for people who do balloon animals is not specified in Revelation.
Giraffe.
I think it's loneliness,
I
the
think-
punishment for them. I think it's long nights, sitting alone.
So, yeah, in my youth, games which conjured up the spirits of the dead were a popular gift for children. It's a weird thought. If they didn't like it, they could go to
When
hell.
did slavery become a criminal offence in England? It
I
was
bet
not
it
in
was
the
one of
19th
these
century.
odd little new labour laws in about 1996, 7, 8.
What an odd law to outlaw slavery. Is political correctness gone mad?
May have been odd in the sense that it was a bit late.
Yes, that's exactly right. It was 1807 when the slave
1807,
trade
the
was
first
ended, and then finally in 1834 it was illegal anywhere in the British Empire to own a slave. It has never been illegal to have a slave in England until April 2010. I'm saying I could have had you as a slave
You mean
legally.
You mean this series, I'm finally free?
Yes!
But you know what? I'm one of those slaves who just goes back to the master. I don't know what to do. I work for you anyway, please.
I'll tell you one thing is that there are now estimated to be 27 million people held in, essentially in bondage, in slavery on this planet.
The show will be over soon.
More,
You can go.
Right now?
more than there ever were in the days of cotton picking and so
27
on.
million?
27 million.
In the
yeah.
world?
Yeah, that is the estimate. It's pretty grim problem still, slavery. The point is, it was never illegal in England because it was never recognised as a state of being.
Oh, there's all
There was
kinds
no
of-
such-
I
you
wish
know,
I'd known that.
there were laws against kidnapping and abduction and false imprisonment and sexual trafficking and all the other things that we might associate with slavery. But it was not illegal for one human to own another human, which it now is.
So this is a law this isn't one of those laws where they thought, oh, that needs clearing up. It's a loose end from history.
It kind of was. In 1967, there were a number of obsolete crimes that were taken care of. Barratry had been illegal right up to 1967, which is vexatious lawsuits.
Oh,
Barratry.
Building of
Vexatious.
Yeah, what they call a vexatious litigant. Somebody just keeps...
Dorothy Squires.
Yes.
Dorothy Squires, the singer Dorothy Squires, towards the end of her life, when she did have a mania, but she was probably the last person to be done for vexatious litigants.
And if you kept prosecuting someone for it, you'd be prosecuting them.
Yourself,
Yeah, well, it's complete. Anyway, there's scolding. Scolding was a crime in 1966, but not in 1967.
With hot water, you mean?
No, not scalding. Scalding. Scolding!
That was a crime.
You! What time of the night do you call this, Eddie Izzard?
12.
Yes.
30 or something.
Well, I'll give you a good scolding.
And that was illegal?
That was illegal.
Illegal?
Yeah.
And that was legal?
Eavesdropping was illegal. Challenging someone to a fight was also illegal until 1967.
What about going round and round and roundabout more than 3 times?
It certainly wouldn't have been a medieval law, would it?
Well, I don't know, and if you're in a horse and cart and you have a couple of hours spare.
On a medieval roundabout.
On a medieval roundabout.
Yes. Anyway, there you are. Due to a quirk of English law, it only became a criminal offence to keep a slave in the year 2010. So
There are lots of words called orphan negatives. So these are words that have the opposites, but nobody uses them. They're now obsolete. So what would be the opposite of ineffable?
Effable.
Effable, but nobody ever uses as a perfectly good word, isn't
I've
it?
heard people say that.
Effable, it's not effable.
Oh, he's got nice trousers on today. He's totally effable.
Yeah, well, funny, and thank you. I really appreciate it. They're very roomy.
No, there are lots of good ones. Incessant, so cessant. Nobody talks about cessant anymore. Well, this is the weird thing about this word, OK? What it tells you in the dictionary is that cessant hasn't been used since 1701. What happened that year? They thought, you know, I'm done with that word.
For you, what about disdain?
Oh, yes, the
Because
opposite
you're-
of being a good Dane. Yes,
Yeah.
a disdain.
Disdain, Dane.
Disdain.
Yeah. Innocent? Anybody?
Yesn't.
Innocent.
Innocent. So innocent, yeah, innocent was a criminal.
Innocent.
Until about the 17th century, so nocentum, Latin meaning to harm.
Is nonchalant?
So chalant.
Chalant.
Yes. I'm going to refer to you as chalant. I like that. I think that sounds rather good.
What chalant?
Yeah, chalant and effable.
Stop it, you.
To be fair, Jimmy, I had to have it pointed out to me. Inflammable?
Oh, I hate... Inflammable and flammable.
Same thing.
It is exactly the same
Same
thing. It's
thing.
not an orphan negative at all. In fact, the opposite of flammable is non-flammable.
Explosive.
I beg your pardon?
Just reading.
Oh, it used to be inflammable because it comes from the Latin inflammare, but they adopted flammable deliberately in the 20th century because, honestly, inflammable seemed ambiguous, so that is one of the reasons why we now say flammable and then non-flammable.
Right.
Anybody know what a contronym is?
Oh, so it's like got synonym?
Yeah.
Antonym.
Antonyms, yes. So it's a word that is also its own opposite. So screen, which means to show, like screen a film, and screen also means to hide. Another example, bound, so fastened to the spot and also heading somewhere.
Oh, that's good.
They're good, aren't they? Consonants. They're so you like this? Fast, so moving quickly, and stuck and unable to move. It's the.
And also, I always thought with fast food, the fast is not to eat, and then also to eat loads really cheaply.
Yeah, there you go.
I think we may need marijuana for this.
Yeah.
It looks to me like there should be a conversation that happens at like, yeah, man, fast.
Yeah.
But no, man, fast food.
I love that your impression of someone on drugs means you've never taken them.
Antigrams. Anybody know what an antigram is?
It is the opposite of a gram.
So these are words where if you do an anagram, the anagram itself has the opposite meaning to the original word. So
Impossible.
Yeah, dormitories, tidier rooms is one. There's one. Customers, I like this one. The anagram is store scum.
Oh,
There's a few people out there work in retail.
Here's another one, an antigram. A volunteer fireman. I never run to a flame. And 45 is an anagram of over 50. It's just a woman lying, basically. Let's try a parlour game to get us started. One Victorian parlour game was called Taboo. You were asked a question and had to answer without using a taboo letter of the alphabet. Our taboo letter tonight is obviously N, so please answer the following questions without using the letter N. Matt? Name a tasty yellow fruit grown mostly in the Caribbean and Central America. In the Philippines, its name has been corrupted to bayabas.
Is it, a ba'a? I'm trying to think what's nice and yellow. Crisps. I'm going for crisps.
It's a tasty yellow fruit.
Yeah.
So, no, the answer is guava.
Oh.
Is the answer we were
there is an
looking for.
answer.
There is an answer.
I've been playing this game wrong for years.
It isn't banana at all. The answer is guava, the fruit that we were looking for. In the Philippines, it has been corrupted to bayabas. Do you know what the Filipinos call bananas?
No.
They call them bananas. I could have got you with that one, had you fallen for it. Susan, what do you call a woman who looked after Victorian children whose mothers were social equals but couldn't be asked to do the job themselves?
Well, I would call them the help.
Which is nice, but not the correct term.
Well, then I would call them... You've got such a gaze, Sandy. It's like the Eye of Sauron.
Sorry, but Sauron's got an N in it.
Oh, I would have said the nanny or a governess. Yes. Yes. I was essentially cajoled into that.
You were. So, not nanny, obviously, because how many N's have we got there, Susan?
At least two.
At least two. Also, not socially equal, the nanny. It's au pair.
Oh, no, I almost...
Au pair, been around.
Josh,
So annoying, isn't it?
Start with your own. Oh, it was on the tip of my tongue there.
It's been around since the 1840s, the word au pair. Well, it literally means social equal, au pair.
Does it?
Yeah.
Have you met our social equals? He's really, really fit.
He's only run off with the social equal.
So, nobody's doing very well, but I'm relying on Josh to get this one right.
Watch and learn.
OK, here we go. What do you call a Roman Catholic religious woman who has taken simple vows of poverty, chastity and obedience?
Is it the au pair?
That's guava.
Oh, it's difficult, isn't it, now?
Yeah, not so quick with the answers now.
Tracy? Go on, then. None.
Nah.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The answer is a sister. So a nun has taken solemn vows, but a sister has taken simple vows. It's a technical difference to do with the repudiation of property. So a nun's solemn vow repudiates property absolutely. A sister's simple vow allows her to reserve an interest. Hedging her bets, Josh. Hedging her bets, that one. Right, Alan.
Yes.
Name any of the digits in the common emergency telephone number. There's an emergency number which is...
999.
999.
They're great guys. They're great guys.
But the common emergency telephone number is 112.
Is it?
Yeah, so you can use it on a mobile phone, even if it's locked or you haven't got a SIM card.
It has got ends in 112.
Well, I asked you to name any of the digits in the common emergency number. So you could have said 2.
Oh, my word.
2.
Well, it's Christmas, so Alan wins that one. There we go.
Why did it take 300 years to give the giant tortoise a scientific name?
A scientific name?
Yeah, i.e. the Latin name. It turned out to be called Guillotine, you know.
Is it because they just thought that was pretty good, giant tortoise?
We'll leave it with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah?
No, I was going to say something about which now is unusable. I'm going to have to say it now.
Go on, I thought with it, man.
They thought...
It's better be
They
good.
thought it was a normal tortoise, but closer, was what I was going to say. You see what I mean? But I couldn't get that concept. It's like, would it be actually further away? And a normal one further away would be actually a minute one. Would they mistake a quite far away normal one for a miniaturised one that's a bit ordinary?
Yeah, but the thing that you're saying is that the tortoise could be...
No, it's just... It's a further way. If they said...
I like it. Oh, go that way.
Yeah. If there was like a tortoise over there that was giant, but for some reason thought it was just there, then I wouldn't think it was giant. I'd think it was just, oh, there's just one there. If it was just a normal tortoise there, nothing about that. Oh my God, it's over there and it's back!
It would have to be on a huge beach with no other points of reference.
Well, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Are they...
That's not the reason.
Are they particularly litigious? Now, if you give me a name, I will sue you.
No, it wasn't that. It's a nice thought again. No, they had another property which was most unfortunate for them to have.
What the tortoises did?
Yeah.
They were edible.
They were so edible. Anyone, I mean...
Anyone who saw one couldn't stop to think of a name for it. They just had to eat it straight away.
One of those...
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called.
Do you know...
Just get one. They're really very good.
There's no
We just call
Latin
them
name for the
dinner.
pistachio nut. Exactly the same way. No one can be bothered. Just shut up with your Latin. Eat them. They're brilliant.
That's what happened.
No Latin name for Maltesers.
None of them made it. It's kind of true. None of them made it to London. None of them made it to Europe.
Now this time, we're going to take it and we'll take London and study it.
Leave it. No.
However,
Take it back. People getting up in the
Ferry coming into Dover, there's a bloke going... leaving the door where the tortoise is there.
all right, look, take 9 of them, we'll eat 8.
Absolutely. And now everyone's looking at it and going, come on.
The seas become... The days on end, the seas become there's one tortoise left.
Yeah.
Come on, sir. Come on, we'll go back. Let's just go back and get some more.
Imagine the moment after they've eaten that last tortoise. They're sitting there thinking, we are twats. I'm too full.
Even Darwin, on Darwin's last book. There were dozens. There were
He
dozens.
collected every species in the world and ate that one.
They had them all. They did.
I've done all those, done all the butterflies, done all the beetles. I'm eating that.
The only descriptions of them are comparing them to chicken, beef, mutton and butter and saying they're how much better they are than all of those things. No one who'd ever eaten tortoise had ever eaten anything better.
Why are they not
and the liver and the bone marrow, every part of it was unbelievably
Whereabouts
delicious.
are they from?
Well, from the tropics mostly.
Are there flights over there?
Let's open
They are now protected. All 12
They're
species.
that delicious, they can't be. Well, they just say, yeah, we're protected, and they're all in there, no need to look.
Yeah, they're
fine.
There's a border around them, like North Korea.
Yeah. There's a big pile of shells, like those piles of tyres you see in a scrapyard.
But there were some that survived, however, and let me tell you about a very extraordinary
That
one.
bloke there, he's just befriending that one. Yeah, come over here, my pretty. I'm trying to think of a name for you.
But they are amazing animals, apart from how delicious they are. Adwaita died in 2006, and he was Clive of India's pet. There he is.
Oh, they're 200 years old or something.
255. He was born before Mozart, before the French Revolution, and his death was announced on CNN. I mean, that's a heck of a life,
And
isn't
you can list his achievements on the back of a stamp.
Well, why would he need to
Well, his
achieve
principal
anything?
achievement is it wasn't
He lived 255 years. People think probably the oldest living creature because they don't live so long out of captivity like most animals, and he was, you know, well cared for. But that is a pretty astonishing
It is
lifespan.
quite... So it lived 255 years and is massive. I mean, I've achieved 50% of that. That's great.
There are 12 species of them, all of them endangered. Well,
They
one...
all taste nice?
Well, I don't know, but it's very sad that they so many were other species were, you know, basically wiped out just because they were so lovely. Not only that, they were also used as water stores. It sounds a weird thing, but they have a special kind of internal bladder that stores water so perfectly that it's drinkable. When you slit them open to cook them, you also get, you know, like a gallon of fresh water.
Wow.
So they would stack them up on boats, tons of them. They'd be stacked up one on the other, and they couldn't move. And they didn't need to be fed for months, so that they actually contributed a lot to whaling and other things because they were used as a foodstuff and a water supply that was just kind of permanent.
So you've got the water as well. And imagine if you smash the shell open, there's like a little toy in there, like a Kinder Egg. Like a little game, you've got to get the balls in the holes.
So how do they exist in the wild anyway, if they're so delicious and slow-moving and massive and useful?
They didn't have any natural predators until man discovered them, basically.
Right. So they were evolutionarily complacent.
They were exactly like a lot of island species. They're a lot like that. And it's only man who crosses islands in the way we do
Like all those
who does it.
ridiculous flightless birds on New Zealand.
Yeah.
Essentially, they got lazy.
Yeah.
They got lazy. What's the point in flying? Now, some of them go, we'll need it one day. I bet we'll need it one day. Nah. You're too anal, you are. Just walk around, it's easier.
Yeah. Anyway, despite being discovered in 1535, giant tortoises weren't properly catalogued by science until the early 19th century because they were so delicious that no samples ever made it back home.
Don't you not want some points or not? Charles is
Well, that's
writing it
very
down.
difficult to say yes or
What do you reckon?
3 negatives.
Yes. Don't you not want some points or not? Do you not want some...
Do you not want some points?
Or not?
Do you not?
Do you not?
Well, we also don't know whether he does or not.
Yes.
Don't you not want some
Points or not?
Or not?
Do not want points.
So here's the thing.
It's true to say that I do not want points.
Yes.
Or
So or
not.
not would mean that you do.
You'd say, do you want points or not?
No, yes, but
So the answer is... Well, there's 2 questions.
No, it's just one question with one answer, but I just tell you now, one answer has a klaxon and one doesn't. I think I'm giving too much away here.
Can we help
The
him?
show's nearly over. I'm filibustering.
Just,
You asked the question in English.
I did, yes.
English, there are 500,000 words in the Oxford English Dictionary. It is the largest language in the world.
Yes.
1,000 times no.
Oh, yes. Have you thought of that today?
Yes.
Yes is the right answer. Yes.
Yes isn't the right answer.
Oh.
It's not a yes-no question.
No, that's what I thought.
But fundamentally, yes is better than no, is where my head's going. Although I was enjoying Giles's...
But curiously, the answer would have been different.
I didn't mean I'd come back to it.
No.
I wasn't enjoying it that much.
But interestingly, the answer in French would have been yes. Oh, no, no.
In French, you could have said, I don't know, which is je ne sais pas, which is a double negative. Or...
But if you translate, what did you originally say?
Is it too early to lose the will to live?
I'm extremely concerned, Sandy, that you, a role model for women everywhere, should, in fleshing out the double negative, come out with a statement broadly, yes is better than no. That's not what I'll be telling my daughter.
There's a lot of these in pop, aren't there? A lot of these in pop and rock lyrics.
Yes.
There's lots of I can't get no satisfaction.
Yes, there is. And if it's a positive double negative, like Tom Jones's It's Not Unusual, that's fine, OK? Because basically...
Why is that fine?
Well, it never used to be a problem, the double negative. And then in the 18th century, they became obsessed with mathematics, and it's to do with mathematics.
Oh.
So they began to codify the language as being illogical if it didn't fit with mathematical thinking. So in mathematics, minus a minus is a plus.
Oh, do this in Danish.
OK. Yeah. Så de tænkte mange år siden, at... I can do it. No, I won't do it now.
If you do that, I think I've had a stroke.
No.
I was just thinking there's a body being found as soon as
Now, why do doctors hit your knee with a hammer?
To test your reflexes.
Yeah.
That's correct. But what reflexes are they?
The reflexes are the...
It's because they don't like...
There's nerves that run from the thigh upwards to the head. No. No, you would think that.
It's something to do... So the expression's like a knee-jerk response.
A knee-jerk reaction, yeah, a knee-jerk
Because it doesn't go to the brain.
Yeah,
it goes... It communicates amongst itself.
Well, it goes
somehow.
up to the spinal cord. It doesn't go all the way up to the brain at all.
Yeah.
So it is unmediated by the brain entirely. It is absolutely an
And it only happens in two times. One is when you get hit on the knee with a little hammer like that, and the other is when you're asleep on a crowded train. It's only two times. And you never see a doctor rushing off with a little hammer.
Right. Anyway,
what if you did a murder with your reflex? If someone sort of attacked your knee and then reflex, you had a knife attached to your shoe or something, and you killed them, would you be able to say, but the reflex, it didn't go to my brain, it only went to the bottom of my spine, so I didn't really do it?
Yes.
That's like when you're driving and you have an automated response. It's called like murder by automaton, but you don't go to prison. So if you sneeze, for instance, and then you run someone over... Someone sneezed!
Talk about a reflex.
That means there's been a murder!
Has murdered someone.
Now they know they'll get away with it. It's something like
if you walk into a room with a gun, cocked, sneeze, it goes off, you kill someone, you're in the clear.
So if you want to kill your wife, what you do is you drive down to Dover, you get her right up against a cliff, and then you put your leg behind her, and then get a doctor to tap the knee. There she goes.
And the doctor would go to prison.
That would act up.
The doctor would go to prison.
I think so.
What if he was sneezing as he tapped the knee?
The perfect crime. Yeah. Broadchurch Series 2.
I love this imaginary super compliant wife that you've found.
To be taken.
Just come all the way here and stand there. What are you doing here?
Why does the GP come with us?
Get her out of the house.
Isn't it a lovely view, my love? Stand still.
Vietnam War. Who was buried in the tomb of the unknown warrior or soldier?
We don't know. I think all of them were anonymous, deliberately.
Surely the whole nature of this show will mean that the unknown soldier, it'll be he wasn't a soldier, they knew him, and he wasn't dead.
He wasn't dead. Yeah, I mean, the unknown soldier was actually buried in a replica of a large red chili somewhere in gold.
Was he an unknown soldier when he was still alive as well? When he kept turning up and everyone said, "Howdy, how you doing?"
He seems keen to join
I don't
in.
know who he is. That unknown soldier, he died. Oh, let's bury him.
No, what happened in the case of the Vietnam War was that there was an unknown soldier buried there, but there was a particular family who thought they heard that the unknown soldier had died in a helicopter crash, but they thought their own son had died in the same helicopter crash. And so in the 1990s, they persuaded the American government to do a DNA test on the unknown soldier, and it was indeed their son. So the remains were returned. So since then, it's been empty. It's unlikely there'll be another unknown soldier, because all American soldiers certainly are DNA profiled and British ones too, so that they will always be
that's
known.
That's a happy ending, isn't it?
Yeah, But the original Unknown Soldier, do you know when this was, the first time it was done?
Was it after the First World
It
War?
was after the First World War. It was done in the year 1920, simultaneously in France and Britain. In Britain, there were 4 unknown soldiers, and a general pointed at one body, and that became the unknown soldier, who was honoured, it's rather wonderful this, with a state funeral in Westminster Abbey, with full military honours, entombed with a medieval crusader sword from the Royal Collection, in the presence of a guard made up of 100 VCs. And the guests of honour were 100 women, each of whom had lost her husband and all her sons in the war.
That is so
amazing,
isn't it?
An amazing ceremony.
And the cenotaph is actually a memorial to the unknown soldier,
Yes,
isn't it?
it is. That's right.
What it
So,
is.
I mean, it's a kind of
Was it
way...
designed by Lutyens, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe it was. Very good. I think you must have points. I think
hope so.
Make up for the rather
Last.
large collection of
Thank
negative
you.
points you've been building up.
That's a very funny round, I think.
Well, no, but it was.
Interesting to see if we can pick it up
Yeah.
from there.
Well, but it was quite interesting, if not quite funny, and I think worth it. I mean, just amazing. I thought that story.
Now, the year is 1792. It was a notable year for a number of reasons. It was the year the guillotine was first used.
Which was last used in 1960. Point for that.
No, because it's not true. You're wrong.
It is true.
No, it isn't. We'll come to that, I'm afraid. 1977. The last French... Sorry. No, it was a one-legged French criminal who was guillotined in 1977. 1792 was the year the guillotine was first used and the year of birth of the inventor of the computer and the death of the man after whom the sandwich is named. What was invented...
Lord Sandwich.
Yes. Yes. Well, it wasn't going to be Nora Butty, was it?
Charles Babbage.
Charles Babbage, you're right, is the inventor of the computer, so you've all added to that.
Difference engine.
But, yes, the difference engine.
I know how many people were at his funeral.
Oh, go on.
3.
Really?
Yeah, only 3 people went to his funeral. None of his friends turned up because he was a laughingstock by the time he died, and he'd invented the computer.
Yeah, I know.
Which was only recently,
They rebuilt one, didn't they?
Science Museum and turned it, and it works.
In Vietnam, the guillotine was last used in 1960.
However, in France, in 1977... But
En France.
En France, exactly, en France.
Has anyone survived it?
Well, do you remember Jim Dale in the film...
Surviving, you can go.
That's smart. That's smart.
Sablon, anything.
Guillotine be gone.
Your head just flopping over.
Do you remember Jim Dale in the Carry On film, Don't Lose Your Head? And he's just being guillotined. It's in the French Revolution, they say. There's a note for you from Robespierre. It says, leave it in the basket, I'll read it later on.
There's a horrible truth to that, because, of course, it was maintained by contemporary witnesses that a lot of the heads were quite sentient.
Yeah.
Why was it hard for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle?
Guys, to the right!
This is because it was a gate, wasn't it? It was a gate.
No. Christ, if you remember, says it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of God.
Of course, and these were the days before liquidizers.
Yeah.
So there was no chance of pureeing up the thing and getting a straw. And I mean, it would be a mess, but it would be doable, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, because remember, this is a rich man we're talking about. He would have people to
He'd
do
have
this
all
for
the
him.
white goods,
Yeah.
wouldn't he? You know,
Oh, yeah.
Well,
if there's anything...
obviously, what happened is a lot of rich men read the Bible and thought, that can't be right, surely. So there are 2 get-out clauses. One was this idea that there was an eye of the needle gate in Jerusalem city walls, but there is absolutely no contemporary historical or archaeological evidence.
Well, actually, in biblical times, women's hands were significantly bigger than they are today. So a needle's eye could be 40 or 50 foot across. Enormous.
You still want that rich man to get through, don't you?
Well, the thing is, what someone told me, I might say, at my bloody school, which is still going, and it turns out it's talking bullshit.
I bet it was a private school.
It was a private school.
Where they don't like to get on the wrong
said
side of rich people.
There are 2 sorts of gate to get into cities in those days. One that was quite wide, one that was quite narrow, and a fully laden camel couldn't squeeze through quite a narrow gate, and those were were called eyes of needles, and what Jesus wasn't doing was being sort of sarky and going, yeah, it's about as easy for a rich man to get into heaven as to get a planet into a shoe. He was actually saying that if the camel was no longer fully laden, hence the wealth had been, dumped somewhere, then the camel went in easy as
I
you
don't know
like.
how rich you are if all your stuff is on the back of one camel.
But it depends if it's diamonds.
Yeah,
That's
damn
really
rich.
rich. They hadn't found all the South African diamond mines then, so diamonds worth even more.
Yeah, good point.
In the coronation of George IV, all the diamonds in the crown jewels were hired. The King of England wasn't rich enough to own enough diamonds for one poxy coronation. That's how expensive diamonds
Can you
were.
hire
Now
diamonds?
any sort of rap star's got
Of course you
loads.
can. At the Oscars, all the actors hire diamonds.
That would be the Everest of unsure engagements, wouldn't it? I've just rented this for a week. Let's see how things go. Let's wait till after you put
But no,
out.
you're absolutely right, David. That is precisely what...
Jesus was being
Jesus
sarcastic.
meant exactly what he said.
Should have just said,
Yeah.
you can't. If you're rich, you're going to hell.
Yeah. Given the choice, what would be the next best thing to having a Nobel Prize winner in our audience tonight?
Dennis Leary had a great joke about the Nobel Peace Prize. He said, the Nobel Peace Prize, I'd kill for one of those.
That's very good. Now, there is a sort of serio-comic version of the Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, it's the Ig Nobel Awards.
Yes. The Ig Nobel Prize is given to people who usually are genuine scientists who have conducted research, some of which is just a little bit weird. There, for example, we have on our left a woman who invented an emergency bra that could be torn apart and turned into a gas mask. And 2 gas masks, obviously. And there on the right is the inventor of the Ig Nobel Prize, Mr. Mark Abraham. And I'm proud to say that in our audience we have a winner of the Ig Nobel Prize, Professor Chris McManus. Are you there? There he is. Hooray! Now, Professor McManus. They called you in the press the oddball professor. Perhaps you'd like to tell us the reason you won the Ig Nobel Prize.
Well, I got the prize in 2002 for some work that was done half a lifetime earlier in 1976.
Yes.
And the paper was published in the most prestigious of science journals, Nature, and it was called Scrotal Asymmetry in Man and in Ancient Sculpture.
So your work was looking at how male testicles were asymmetrical?
Precisely.
I've got an issue. Well, maybe you could help because you're an expert.
Well, perhaps I should examine you afterwards. It's probably easier.
I think I can explain it. One of mine is bigger than the other two.
Very good.
1 million British horses were sent to the First World War front. What happened to the ones that survived?
They settled in the south of France, opened a caravan park.
Of course, they couldn't learn the language. Ended up moving back.
Ah, well, but that's what they didn't do, is move back.
Did the French eat them?
Well, lots of people ate them. Probably they were turned into food or they were rendered into products. Yeah, the point is, 1 million horses is a heck of a lot, but almost none made it back home. They
No,
thought...
some did, because in Warhorse he did.
Yes.
He came back. He did come back.
1 million horses went to the First World War?
From Britain, yeah.
That's extraordinary. I mean, if you think about just the logistics of getting 1 million horses across the Channel, I mean, they're not all David Williams.
No, exactly. According to Michael Morpurgo, who wrote that book, Warhorse, you just mentioned, 8 to 10 million horses died in the First World War. And they didn't have a nice time of it, even if they did survive, because they thought they'd be diseased when they came back as well, so they just didn't want them. So it was a very sad chapter in our story.
Yeah.
It's a bummer, isn't it? I've silenced you.
It's like when they play the Black Beauty music, I just start crying. Well, you know the bit where Ginger dies? It's really, really sad.
You know why they call him Ginger?
See, I would have that music at my funeral, definitely. Black Beauty music.
It's a deal.
You.
I'll arrange it.
It's a deal with, yeah.
Thanks.
We'll make sure it happens.
Good. So how fast is that coffin going to be moving? Quite a lick, by the sound of it.
One of the most popular ones to have now with the coffin going on is the countdown theme. Like that.
It is bizarre the way people go crazy for horses, though. I remember being, like, in primary school. It was the first time I saw anyone... And it did a really weird thing. It really stuck in my head. And there was a little girl in our primary school class. We were, like, 6 years old. And she was just in floods of tears. Just crying, bawling her eyes out. And we kind of went, what's the matter? And she went, I just love horses so much.
Is that how you were?
I don't see why that's strange. I had to write one of those, you know, they sometimes ask you to write things for, you know, your first love. Genuinely, my first love was Frank, and he was a pony. He wasn't very handsome. He had brown ears and a spotty neck and a really bad sweet itch, so his mane just kind of stood up in sections. And my mother always said, if you could love Frank, then everything in the world would always be beautiful, because you thought he was beautiful. And I did.
Oh, that's so touching.
He was lovely. He understood me.
There's a whole...
He did understand me.
Why little girls rather than little boys don't care about ponies? I know families who move because the girl, you know, for the sake of, you know, having more space so that maybe they can get a horse.
Well, we were emotionally mature a little earlier.
Yeah.
About 50 years earlier.
I would never move for a child's hobby. You know, I can see it like Django, but I love ponies. Yeah, well, I like this house, my own house. When you pay for the mortgage, you can stick a pony in every room, right?
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
All right, why are you asking? God.
Your dad, all right?
All right. Thank you. So, yes, the fact is very few horses sadly made it home from the front. If they weren't killed in action, they were likely to be fed. Did Queen Victoria think of Mr. Bean? Yes.
We are not amused.
So soon. Albert would have liked it because he's German, and the Germans are mad for Bean.
That's true.
I was on a Lufthansa flight once, and everyone was howling with laughter all around me with headphones in. I couldn't understand why, and I looked, and they were all watching Bean.
Yeah.
They love it.
There's a certain efficiency about it. Yeah, this does something and it falls over. It's very amusing. Before, he was walking in the straight lines and he walked into the door. Genius!
This is what happens when you break the rules.
Sometimes I stay up very late.
Can I take this off?
Of course you can. Of course you can take it off, old thing, yes. Is it uncomfortable?
They all lock.
It's Sean Locke!
I suspect it's not that Mr. Bean.
No,
Is there another Mr. Bean?
It was a man called John Bean, who was one of 3 people who tried to do something to Queen Victoria just in the 4th year of her reign, when she was a very slip of a thing.
Take her roughly behind the bike sheds.
No, or indeed invent the bicycle and then invent the shed with...
Sell her tea towels door to door.
Kiss her on the mouth.
Quite the other.
Oh.
Kiss her on the arm.
Is that a request? Is that how you phrase it?
If you're the Queen, you can get anything done, can't you, really? You there, kiss me on, all right.
As much as kissing someone is a friendly act, these were unfriendly.
Surely he didn't turn down her advances with knockers like this.
How could you?
Kicked her in the shins.
No, 3 times in
Tried to
1842
murder her.
they tried to assassinate her, tried to kill her. And there was one called Mr. Bean who had a gun and he filled it with wads of tobacco, which didn't really do much harm.
Was he trying to give her cancer? I'd like the idea of Mr. Bean trying to assassinate someone by clumsiness. Yeah. Just, you know, making a cup of tea and the whole house collapses, the palace falls. Everywhere he goes, it's basically a sort of tornado of disaster, isn't it?
Mayhem.
I was in a remote Australian sheep station once, and the bloke went, "Yeah, you ever watched that, Mr. Bean?" And I went, "Yeah," and he goes, "That bloke's a bloody idiot."
That's fabulous.
He goes, yeah, he wouldn't last 5 minutes in the bush. well, no, clearly not.
Yeah.
So, what's the world's biggest river? And where is it?
Is it underwater?
It's a nice thought.
Amazon.
Oh! No, what? Hang on. There you go.
Nile.
Nile? Well, you just... No.
When you say biggest,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Widest, longest?
Carries the most water.
Carries most water?
You're going to be so angry. It's in the sky. They're called atmospheric rivers.
Oh, no, I gotta say, sometimes on behalf of the audience, I hate this programme.
I agree, and I'm really
This is hurting you far more than it hurts me. No, they're known as atmospheric rivers. They're vast ribbons of water vapour moving water around the world. They appear in different places, different times.
Are they the
2,000
ones
kilometres
that
long.
are perfectly timed to coincide with bank holidays?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
They're the ones. 2,000 kilometres long and only a few kilometres wide. But although they cover less than 10% of the globe, 4 or 5 of them contain 90% of all the world's water vapour at one time. So the world's biggest rivers are in the sky. All right, I'm sorry about that. But seriously, name the world's biggest river that isn't in the sky.
Go on, Alan. Go on, Alan.
An actual river
that
this
isn't in
time.
the sky. No, that isn't in the sky.
Is it one of those ones that Alan's mentioned already? Do you think, maybe?
No, there is a river under the Amazon called the Rio Hamza, and it is actually bigger than the Amazon itself. It's only discovered in 2011.
The Rio Hamza.
Exactly, the Rio Hamza.
Is it sort of hook shape?
A very sad coincidence, I'm afraid.
River hated by the tabloids.
Hated by the tabloids. Yes. They collected data from 241 abandoned deep wells, and it runs 6,000 kilometres, like the Amazon above it, but is up to 4 times wider. And that's 200 to 400 kilometres wide.
How far down is it?
4 kilometres beneath the Amazon itself. I mean, some people would say it's an aquifer, but it actually flows horizontally like a river. So and it is called Rio, which is river.
Do things live in it?
There's
There must be
always something,
organisms.
isn't
There's
there? No
usually.
matter how crap a place is,
Yeah.
Attenborough always goes, even here. Something very stupid.
Something comes by.
Has built his house. It doesn't matter.
The Muppet.
You go anywhere when it's...
The organism Muppet.
Yeah.
A little light on his head.
It's true.
And here they are mating.
It's absolutely true.
The first dictionary in English?
Oh, yes. Johnson.
Samuel Johnson.
Samuel Johnson? It wasn't Samuel Johnson. I led you down the garden path.
Baldrick.
Banked you, Baldrick.
B.
Probably a B, yes.
Very good. We're going to have to write the whole dictionary tonight.
Dr. Johnson's dictionary, which was written in the earlier part of the 18th century, was preceded by... Well, there was...
Famously, the first
There were
dictionary.
lots, weren't there?
There was a Richard Mulcaster in the 16th century who came up with the name football, in fact, and indeed invented refereeing and the idea of football teams. But he wrote Elementary in 1582. He was the first to gather all the words which we use in our English tongue out of all professions, as well learned as not, into one dictionary. But he didn't give definitions. He just listed all the words that he thought they existed. But in Robert Corddry's Table Alphabetical of 1604, not only listed words, but gave definitions, so it was perhaps the first true dictionary in the sense that we know it. It listed around 3,000 hard words, as he called them, defining each one. So then Johnson's dictionary had how many entries? Around the time there were about 250,000 or 300,000 words. How many did he list?
42.
So you were so close, 42,000. Was it? That was really close. 42,773. But we've got some Johnson words that have gone out of use, and maybe you can mention what they mean. Tongue pad.
Mouth friend.
Mouth friend. Don't we all need a mouth friend?
Sometimes we certainly do need a tongue pad and a mouth.
Sometimes I like a frigorific. I hear you, girl.
Frigorific.
Yeah. We've all been frigorific in our time. A double latte is, I
That's
think
a
it's
coffee.
single shot,
You
isn't
can
it?
get those in.
Yeah.
It's depucilate.
Oh, that's what you do before a big date, isn't it? Yeah.
If you're meeting a mouth friend.
Yes.
You get a big tongue pad. Slip the old shapesmith.
Is a shapesmith just a rubbish blacksmith?
No, a shapesmith is basically what we...
I've done a thing. You've been to the shapesmith? Yeah. Sort of looks like a doorknob.
Yeah, it's not a horseshoe, but it's horse jewellery.
Like a horse clog.
Nipple clamp. They found in Camden Market and sold all that crap.
No, a shapesmith is actually what we would call a personal trainer. It's someone who gets you into shape and improves the shape of your body. It's
Time
a
for that word to come back. I think.
Shapesmith, exactly.
I'm going to see my shapesmith.
My shapesmith. A tongue pad.
I hate that.
A tongue pad is just a great talker who just gives someone who just natters all the time. A mouth friend is You know, someone who is a friend to your face but is duplicitous behind your
Oh,
back. It's just,
God, I know a few of those.
Yeah, a few mouth friends. Pretends to be your friend. To depucillate is to deflower, to bereave of virginity.
It's not a bereave.
To pluck the
Let's not see it as that. Frigorific sounds like something Del Boy might say, but what is it?
Actually, I suppose we would... It's probably rather badly spelled. We should pronounce it, yes, cold. Should pronounce it frigorific, probably. It just means causing cold. Something it's frigorific. Causes cold. So, some of his definitions were just a little bit lazy. Sock. Something put between the foot and the shoe.
He must have thought, though, because, you know, previously the one before you say had been just of hard words. He must have just thought, look, everyone knows what a sock is.
If you can read, you'll know what a sock is.
Yeah, if you've got this book and you don't know what a sock is, then I can't help you.
Exactly. Oates was a famous one.
Oh, yes, he said horrible things about the Scots in his one on oats, didn't he?
He did. He said a grain which in England is generally given to horses, but in Scotland supports the people. He describes to Worm to deprive a dog of something, nobody knows what, under his tongue, which is said to prevent him, nobody knows why, from running mad. It's just a very strange...
Wasn't a scientist, then?
No, I think probably not. What was Darwin's problem with brown owl? And why did he not describe it?
Now, clearly, if one makes a joke about Girl Guides here, like he was traumatised during a period in the Girl Guides.
Before...
Help me now.
We even predicted your mistake, because I think brown owl brownies.
Yeah. Yeah. He must have died before...
Before the brownies existed, exactly.
He probably ate it or something.
Ah!
So he ate brown owls, you're saying?
Well, actually, he didn't, because he described it as indescribable, which is why he didn't describe the brown owl. Well, actually, as food, he meant, because Charles Darwin, one of the greatest scientists, one of the greatest men, really, of any age, was considered a very dim pupil and couldn't spell and was terrible at arithmetic and went to Cambridge. The only subject his father thought was fit for him was divinity. And he spent his time chasing rats and shooting and looking at animals and eating strange animals. He was a member of the Gourmet Society, or the Gluttons, as it was known at Cambridge, and their aim in life was to eat as many rare and peculiar animals, like bitterns and hawks. But brown owl, they didn't like at all, and all the others became bishops and archdeacons.
Does this still exist, this club?
Exists? Stephen's the president of it.
Yeah, otherwise you write me round for Fox on Creme.
Right. I think panda, that's the... Oh, it's lovely.
I've got a book at home. It's equivalent to the Collins Book of Birds from 1850, and after describing each bird, at the end it will say, for instance, a buzzard tastes a little bit milder than a golden eagle, but still quite palatable.
Does it have a wine recommendation at the bottom? You suggest a Chablis or a New World Merlot.
Do you know what you should drink with the beating heart of a cobra? And this is a dish in China where you get a cobra and it's brought to the table alive. They then slice it open, rip the heart out, and it's beating on the plate there. You have to chase it around the plate, I suppose. And then you drink the blood of the snake as the wine.
Actually, I ordered the lasagna.
What's the most disgusting thing you've ever eaten, Alan?
Earwax.
Your own? It was your own, that's all.
It's really horrible.
Bitter.
I mean, if just a tiny bit on the end of your fingers.
Sweet and sour.
Imagine if you had to have a sandwich of it. Really like a block of it.
Anyway, a phylum feast is held on the 12th of February every year by zoologists and biologists, in which they try and eat as many different species as possible, in honour of Charles Darwin, whose birthday...